Hi, welcome to Help with Hannah and Calvin. I'm Calvin Reed.
And I'm Hannah Jones, and we are here to answer your questions, Dear Abby style. This podcast is brought to you by Little India. This is a beloved, local, family-owned restaurant with 4 locations throughout the Denver area and a coffee shop. Some of my favorites on the menu include the chicken korma, tamarind margarita, and all the samosas. If you live in Colorado, you should make this place a regular stop, and if you're visiting our great city, be sure you don't miss Little India. Visit littleindiadenver.com to find a location near you.
And thank you, Dude IDK Studios in Denver, where we are recording.
Hi, Calvin.
Hi, Hannah.
How's your week been?
It's been a week. You know, I lived throughout all of it, so can't complain.
But same wavelength. Absolute mental disaster past day. But
2024 hit me like a semi, but I have a lot of things to look forward to, I think. So I think that's what's going to get me through the beginning of this.
I fucking had better.
Like I started the year sick, and then I've just been busy with like life right after I got better, and it's like, hey, let's slow down. Because when it was slower, I was sick, which great, whatever. But now that like I don't want to be busy now that I'm not sick. Like
100%.
let's have a good medium, people.
Yeah, that is something that I realized when this is so dystopian to say, but you know when COVID happened and then we just kind of all decided our new normal was to get like 8 or 9 flus a year. You know how that's a thing kind of now?
Yeah, like some people are like, yeah, let me just get sick for the 6th time in 5 months. And it's like, that's a lot.
We just get sick a lot more than we used to. And also those sicknesses like hit me like a truck in a way that they didn't used to because my body just, I wouldn't say I have long COVID, but at the same time, most of my friends have kind of talked like this. We like illnesses hit us different these days. And also just in general, like we have different cardiovascular limits than we used to. But yeah, what I've realized throughout that whole process is that like now if I get sick, obviously I'm canceling everything social, but I used to like as soon as I started feeling a little bit better, I'm working out again, I'm trying to like get back to my work a full day. Absolutely not anymore. Now I have to like absolutely take completely bed rest until I feel 100% back to normal, or else it'll just like last so long and there'll be like waves and waves.
I get that. I do force myself to like stay down for a little bit, but once I do start feeling better, I do try and force myself to at least like work out and get my body moving, just because that helps me feel like just like even mentally, I'm just like, give me some endorphins for at least like 30 minutes right now.
That's what I want to do, because by the end I'm like going insane.
Yeah.
But for me personally, now what it'll do is it'll cause another wave.
Which sucks. That's not worth it. Yeah. That's worse mental health down the road.
So stupid.
Well, we're knocking on wood that doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
I don't want it to.
No, you're fine.
So we need to talk about the Grammys.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the Grammys.
And it's so funny because this is going to come up in like, what, 2 or 3 weeks?
I don't
so it's
care.
going to be
I'll talk
so
about it
stale
for 2
by
or...
the time. It's like every take they're going to be like, oh, they're recycling. But no, they were fresh when we said them.
I'll talk about the Grammys. I still talk about last year's Grammys. I'm still pissed about Harry's House winning. Like, I will go off on that.
I think it's funny that we all kind of culturally agree that the Grammys have no significance, no honor, no... I mean, like, I think since the Kanye speech, me and my community has been on the same wavelength of like, yeah, the awards don't mean anything. It's just cool to see all the cuntiest people in the same room, you know?
Yeah.
That's just really fun to see them all and like, ooh, she's smirking at the other person. And like in reality, it's like a 6-hour long event and they're all so fucking bored by the end of it.
Which like makes sense because it's a lot of categories over a lot of different genres of music and there's no way you listen to all of them.
I don't watch it. I'm already bored of the TikToks about it, to be quite frank.
I love a good award show.
Really?
I eat it up. I used to watch I used to like take off, like I'd wake up at like 6 a.m. to watch the Oscar nominations live so that I knew exactly. I used to follow a website called Gold Derby that would like do shit like for every single award show. So I'd have to watch them in person so I could check my ballot and see how good of a score I got. I eat up a good award show.
My family never watched award shows because they're very secular. And most of the media that we consume is pretty sheltered.
Yeah.
But one year I had gotten into I was in like middle school. I had gotten into my country music era, and I had a best friend who was really into country music. And so my parents had a TV in their room. It was the second TV in the house. So if I wanted to watch something that wasn't Jag with my mom, I had to go watch TV in my parents' room. And this is one of those cube TVs, like they're deep.
Oh, I
like
know
we
that
don't have
TV,
them
yeah.
anymore, but they're an exact cube. And if you put your hand up to it, it's like
Yeah, and it feels like it's like electricity
the
on your hand.
kids
Yeah.
watching don't even know. But so I'm watching the Country Music Awards on this TV, and that year, I believe it was Song of the Year, was Honky Tonk.
Okay.
And there were all of these women wearing shorts with like the ass basically cut out, and they were like twerking essentially. And my mom came running in and she slammed open the door. She was like, I flipped to the Country Music Awards during a commercial break of Jag.
Jag.
I'm not kidding about the Jag. She's like, I flipped to the Country Music Awards to see what you were watching, and this is the kind of filth that you were watching. And she like read me to shit. I was so scared. And she was like, if this is the kind of stuff that you're choosing, like I'm gonna take away your choosing privileges these days. So yeah, really hate that song forever.
I would also hate that song for
Because
forever.
the rest of the Country Music Awards is like so not an issue. It's not edgy.
Ever.
I
like,
mean,
it's
it is
almost
now
not,
because it's alt-righty, but like...
Yeah, but that's like edgy in the wrong way. That's edgy in the way you're like, that would maybe be a good thing for them.
Well, because what you don't realize is that like in my Christian community, like my dad is a little alt-righty, but the rest of my Christian community is super not alt-right.
Okay.
Like most of the Christians I grew up around is like, what? Trump is not a Christian. Like he curses and fucks bitches, for lack of a better term. Like,
yeah,
Trump is not a Christian. He has a spray tan. Christians wouldn't get spray tans or toupees. That's vain, you know?
That makes sense. Like half the, I mean, I myself still identify as a Christian, but like half the Christians I grew up with were like, Trump is just like, he's not a perfect guy, you guys, okay? But who are we to judge? Like half of them would be like that, and then the other half didn't like him, but they like hated somebody else more.
Yeah.
So there was always just like yeah, he's a bad person, but he's not as bad as. And I'm like, well, actually,
there was
he's
definitely
worse.
a contingent of my homeschooled community. It was like men. It was mostly teenagers and some dads who were already kind of on the edgier side. But I would say that my dad was definitely a part of a minority of that Christian community who were into that side
Unfortunately,
of things.
mine's way too half and half for like comfort.
Oh, but so that's my award show trauma. So back to the Grammys.
Yes, back to the Grammys.
Best dressed.
Best dressed. I liked what Taylor Swift wore.
You're joking.
But that's not my best dressed. I'm
Wait,
trying to
shut
think.
up. You're actually joking.
I liked what she wore. What I liked what she wore.
The necklaces?
I like the necklaces.
You liked the
I
chokers?
did. I
You
did.
like the little
I did.
clock choker and the fishtail braid.
I did. Unfortunately, yeah. Call me out. I liked it. I don't know.
I will say there's one thing that I liked about it, which I think is most of what the reason the hair was so jarring for everybody, is that it was like natural human hair, and like most of the time you've seen Taylor Swift, especially like her biggest slay this year was the green sparkly dress and the beautiful Hollywood waves, and like people don't realize how many fucking extensions she was wearing. Like that's not a human amount of hair by and large, and like some people have thicker hair than others, but for the most part what you see on the red carpet is wigs and extensions. And especially like my friend's a hairstylist, and it's more than you realize. It's wigs and extensions, especially with the Ozempic era, because Ozempic's making everybody's hair fall out. But anyway.
I didn't know that was a side effect. I knew that there were a bunch of bad ones.
That's just a side effect of losing weight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, truly, because your body is not meant to lose weight. So anytime that you are losing weight, your body is like, oh, shit. There's a scarcity of calories here. We need to enter a mode that is more efficient for using calories. And part of that is like, fuck the hair, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So your hair and nail growth definitely slow. And then if you're like in extreme starvation, then your hair will 100% fall out. But like, I mean, that is like so personal. I'm not gonna like point out different celebrities where I'm like, she's losing her hair and she's losing her hair, because that's
Yeah.
just like mean spirited at
And
the end
also,
of the
it could be
day.
drugs or something else. It could
But
not
on a
even be
cultural
Ozempic.
level, I do think it's interesting. Yeah, how many of the people you see are just like not wearing a human's amount of, or a human's texture of hair on
It
there.
is pretty surprising. The
Yeah,
amount.
yeah.
I'm looking at some of these other dressed, and I do stand by Taylor being one of the best dressed.
I like the dress.
I love the
hate
dress.
everything about the styling. I hate
And
every choice.
that's like a
that was
super
made.
valid. That's a very valid critique. I'm just not. I mean, they're cute, but I'm not seeing anything that I'm like, that is it. Like
Miley
looked good, but that
for
is
the performance.
her performance outfit. Shut the fuck
The
up.
performance outfit blew me the fuck away.
I just got chills thinking about it. That's sad. But like I eat up Miley Cyrus though. Like I'm a true stan of hers for forever and ever.
Yeah. She seems to be like, she seems to have built a life that she really likes, and I just like seeing that. It doesn't seem, I think a lot of artists are like very clearly fighting demons, and it's like, wow, you're making great art, but poof.
Yeah, like I can tell you're really, really struggling. Oh, Kelly Clarkson looks cute too. Why am I so obsessed with everybody in white? Okay. Kelly Clarkson wore a beautiful white gown too.
Boy Genius was cool.
Oh, I like Boy Genius. I like their little tuxedo moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like Boy Genius. I'm happy that they won a few because they deserved it. And I don't know if Phoebe Bridgers had won a Grammy previously, but she also won it for Ghost in the Machine with SZA, which was my favorite song off that
Yes.
album. So that made me very happy.
SZA and Megan Thee Stallion were also two of my other best dressed. And
Okay.
also Blue Ivy Carter.
Blue Ivy
was
Carter
a
looks
best dress.
so
A
pretty.
best dressed 100%.
She looks stunning.
She
Yeah.
looked so fantastic. And I thought Jay-Z's speech was the greatest thing in the world. It was like a second draft of Kanye's.
It really was
It
a
was like
second
we
draft
had a
of Kanye's.
moment to sort of refine.
No, literally, it's like we were given 2 more seconds of thought. What are you going to say?
Yeah.
Just 2 more seconds. Not
And
that
then
much
everyone
longer.
on Twitter is like, oh my God, like Beyonce looks so uncomfortable. It's like, Beyonce does not look uncomfortable. To me personally,
To me, she doesn't look like excited
everyone
that
was
he's talking.
clapping for him because everyone knew he was right. It didn't feel like what he said was particularly strange or revolutionary. I mean, it was brave in the sense that like he was saying what needed to be said and that what most people didn't want to say because they wanted to get up and accept their award and be like, I am the greatest, you know? But
It is weird that, and it does call out like an issue. Like, how does Beyonce not have an album of the year? But album of the year to me is one of the most
in
janked
the
up.
21st century, a black woman has not won album of the year.
When they should have won the past 2 years alone, just these past 2 years, not even give it like
Probably
just,
most of them.
Probably most.
I haven't
yeah.
thought about the nominees that hard, but even if you just like look at the nomination list for this year, it's just like weird. It's weird. I like Olivia Rodrigo. Cute moment. But I think even she will someday look back on her career and be like, that the sophomore album that was nominated for album of the year. Weird.
I agree. Where like SOS, like literally, and I will stand by SOS should have been album of the year.
I'll be honest. If a Disney Channel star's sophomore album was going to be an album of the year nominee, it should have been.
Who are you gonna say?
The Miley Cyrus one, because it was her first full Miley moment,
I'm trying to think.
and it was the one that had
The Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus like dual CD cover
that
moment.
was her first album, her sophomore album. Wait a second, let me pull this up.
But you're right though. If
Better than Guts. No
Better Than
offense.
Guts. No,
again.
Guts isn't bad, but that doesn't make it the best thing to walk the God's green earth.
Breakout. That's what it was. Miley Cyrus Breakout. Hold on. This is worth the wait.
It wasn't. I would bet money it was not nominated. Unfortunately,
Correct. It was not nominated, but it should have been. Is what I'm saying.
It should have been. No, 100%.
Out of all of the Disney girls, oh my God. That cover with the cheetah print and the statement necklace.
And the fucking like workout.
You were talking about
gloves.
extensions and a non-human amount of hair. Jesus
her.
Christ.
Oh, I just am obsessed with her.
She tells stories about having like hundreds of the individual hair extensions during that era.
Yeah, she also
And
talks
it gave
about
her
how
such a complex.
that she like she loves drag queens so much because she feels like she had to get in drag all the time for Hannah Montana, which is like that is literally what it is. It's drag.
Can't imagine doing that while you're also trying to form a sense of self.
Literally could not. wouldn't be us. We were not cast in a Disney Channel show as a kid, so we would never be us, unfortunately.
Did you get the radio commercials in your parents' car where it was like, if you want to be in the next Hannah Montana, call this number to come audition for us? And it was like a big cattle call where you would audition and then they would say like, take these 3 classes, like an acting class, a singing class, and a dancing class. And each class was like $8,000.
Yes.
And like wait,
Yes.
did you do them?
My family couldn't afford them, but
Correct,
I made callbacks.
I didn't get to go to the audition because
No,
I
I did.
called and I explained the process to my mom and she was like, that's a scam. And I was like, what? And then she explained that like most things, and my mom was really good at like showing me what was a scam. And I would argue that as an adult, I'm very attuned to scams, but I also, like, the best job that I ever got that paid the most, I also thought it was a scam for a while.
Okay.
So I'm a little too attuned to scams.
My mom would do that too, and I did one because I've wanted to be like an actor since I was a little kid. So, it was always like one of the dream jobs, and so I did it as a kid, and then I made callbacks for one where I like went in and they're like, we love your vibe, and you seem fun and relatable, and then they were like, it costs $500 to start, and then it costs like this much to go here, and then like whatever, and then that's where I was like, I'm gonna ask my family first, Colin. Like, I'm gonna do what I can, and it obviously did not work out. But my parents were like, this could be a scam. Like, agencies really, like, you should never pay to be like an actor with an agency. And I was like, that's true, because their job is to get you jobs so they get paid. Like, that's part of the whole shablam of it. So I think I'm better at attuning to scams. My mom gave me a panic attack once because I let someone have a virus on my computer and she thought it was going to destroy the whole house and we were going to lose all our money because of my one. Yeah, my mom catastrophizes a lot. Same, like mother, like son. So sometimes I think I get too worried about it and then I get in my head.
I once got a virus on my computer because I was illegally streaming episodes of The Secret Life of the American Teenager. And then my dad had owned a company that had an IT guy, so he gave my computer to the IT guy because my computer was one of the company computers, and he gave it to the IT guy, and the IT guy wiped the virus and gave it back. And I said that the IT guy must have been looking up some like weird stuff or something because.
I mean, you're just trying to find episodes of The Secret Life of an American Teenager. Shailene Woodley's breakout show, I believe. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch it
That
as a
show
kid.
taught me what a condom was.
I wasn't allowed to watch it as a kid.
Weird, because it didn't teach Shailene's character what a condom was.
No, it did not. It just saw teenage pregnancy. My parents were like, you will not be watching that. And I was like,
Same.
okay. Same thing with Jamie Lynn Spears. I was like, why'd she get pregnant when I was like 8? My parents were like, you'll find out later. And now I'm like, oh, she
Well,
had
and like,
sex.
let me be clear. I've seen every episode of Lizzie McGuire multiple times, except for the one where Lizzie McGuire gets a bra.
Really?
Because early on, you can see that the episode is going to talk about bras multiple times, so I would always click away to avoid the collective embarrassment.
That makes sense. Yeah, I've done that before. Or like now as an adult, if I watch a movie with my parents, I'm like sitting through the sex scenes really awkwardly and I'm like, oh.
Talk about another Disney star who should have a Grammy before Olivia Rodrigo. So yesterday could have been album.
I say there are, there are plenty of Disney stars. I'm like, where is the Grammy? Why do some people have 45? And then how did Miley get her first 2 yesterday? How does Selena go? I mean, she's not the best musician, but.
How did Fabulous not get
everything
the Oscar for best song in a screenplay?
I don't know. Why did they not perform it on every single stage that they could perform that song on?
Yes.
How is Ashley Tisdale not literally known for that song and nothing else? Because it would suck to have your crowning achievement in your career be that young. But like, I mean, how can you top Fabulous?
Yeah.
You can't.
Sneaker Night should have gotten Song of the Year. Okay, now I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm obsessed with those Disney singles. But yeah. Okay. So Grammys. I had a really hard night, not because of the Grammys, but just in general. And one thing that's interesting is that like my cat can sense that I'm upset. She will like come over and like purr at like the second that I start crying and like snuggle with me. But then the funny thing about it is that like she immediately forgets that she's there to support me, and I'll like pet her twice and then she'll just like chomp down on my arm.
That's cute. She's like, this is still for me.
Crying. And then I have to like gentle parent my violent cat.
Yeah, I've had one cat that's a biter, and he's done that as I've been crying, where he's like purring it in my arms, and then he tries to bite me, and I'm like, bro, what was that?
She's an extreme biter. It's such a problem. I tried to be really vigilant when she was a kitten, and it's like cute and it doesn't hurt, and I tried to like really like yank my hand away and like hiss, or I tried not to do the bopping on the nose because I feel like that's like a slippery slope to just like punching your cat in the face for the most part. They say
Yeah.
like to bop her on the nose. I'm like, I don't know, that does feel like I'm slapping. But so I would hiss her, and then but I had multiple friends who were coming over and playing with her and just sticking their fingers in her mouth because it's so cute when she's little. And then when she gets enough jaw strength and she thinks a fun way to play is to just like chomp down. She doesn't usually do it to visitors. She's never done it to my cat sitter that I know of.
Oh, okay.
But she definitely does not see any like moral qualms with just like biting the fuck out of people. And at this point, it's like I have to just like physically like use a certain amount of force just to like get her the fuck off of me, you know,
Yeah.
because
My
she'll really go for
cat's
it.
intense. The cat, I've grown up with a few cats, and the one that was, or that he's still alive, he's the biter. Yeah, he's pretty strong. He doesn't really use his claws very much, though. Like I have noticed that cats that bite tend to not use their claws as
Correct.
much,
Yeah.
which I get. It's like a double-edged sword because claws also suck. But I don't. We got him when he was like one, or my family got him when he was one. So I don't know if like how we could have trained him to not bite. But it was just like
Exactly.
his
Yeah.
instinct was just like, I'm gonna bite you. He bites when he doesn't get his way. He bites his like love bites. I used to let him like bite my finger and gnaw on it because it was like, oh, you love me, which is just abusive and toxic. But one time a piece of food got
Yeah.
on my finger and I almost puked, and so I didn't let him do it after that.
No, I can tell sometimes that she doesn't even want to because it'll be like she'll get done playing and she's been like chomping on her toys and shit. I've been playing with her for a while and she gets tuckered out. She comes over to snuggle. She's a very snuggly cat. And I can tell as I start to pet her that she doesn't even want to, but it's just this insatiable urge. She just like has to chomp on me.
Cats are weird. I love
Yeah.
them so much, but like she really wants you to feel the pain. Well, she's like, not. I want you to feel the physical pain of what you're feeling emotionally, so that you can get over the emotional pain.
Well, I don't think she realizes that it's painful.
Oh, okay. My cat does know that it's painful. He does it when he doesn't get his way. Like he knows it's like a way to get a reaction. We used
Mm,
to pick him up afterwards and be like, "No, you can't do that." And now I'm like, "Well, I think we trained him to get attention when he bites." So he also can tell the difference between skin and thin clothing.
Jesus.
He's smart when he wants to be.
No, sometimes if I'm wearing a sweatshirt, I'll like go like this and cover my entire hand in the sleeve and then just let her go to fucking town on it because she loves that and she does her little rabbit feet on here. But
Uh,
we have trained her. This is a problem. She will like jump in front of the TV
ooh,
and just sit there because she knows that if she goes and hangs out in front of the TV while it's on, I'll start playing with her to like get her away from the TV so I can watch whatever I'm watching. So
yeah,
if she wants to be played with, that's her like go-to spot to let me know like, okay,
that is
I'm
pretty
ready.
funny.
But she's insatiable in terms of playing.
How old is she?
She's about 7, 8 months.
Oh, well, yeah, she's gonna want to play for a while. Yeah.
Totally.
I, for some reason, thought she was like a couple years old. I don't know why.
She could be played with for like I think the ultimate I don't think she would ever tire out truly because I think she would just like eat more and then want to play more because I've definitely played with her between 30 minutes to 2.5 hours a day depending on the day and like what my schedule ends up being like.
Damn, 2.5 hours
And
is a
even
long
the
time.
2.5 hours, she'll just have like more zoomies at the end of it because she's so riled up.
Oh my gosh, I haven't had to deal with a kitten in a live with a kitten in a minute, and I'm okay with that because they really are playful. Puppies are the same way. They play
Yeah.
for hours. I haven't got that energy.
Alrighty, before we get into the questions, I have some shows coming up. I'll be in LA February 13th, Santa Fe February 14th, Albuquerque February 15th, and Portland March 21st, and Seattle April 13th. All of those show links. No, most of those show links are up at the link in my bio on any social media platform. That's linktree/Hannah Jones Cool.
And I have shows coming up February 16th at Outworld Brewing, February 29th at Peace Satire Lounge, and I'm getting a tattoo. That's not a show, but I love it. I'm excited for it on February 10th.
I love hearing about how it's coming up. Can't
I
wait to show it to the
literally
listeners.
cannot wait. It's going to be great. And all of those are also on my link tree or will be soon.
Hell yeah. This podcast is sponsored by the Patreon. Patrons have first priority to get their questions answered, and they also receive a bonus episode every month, and it's only $3 to subscribe.
If you want to ask a question to get answered in a future episode, you can find the link to that form in the podcast description or in either of our link trees or on any of our social media platforms.
And then one last announcement. We are accepting sponsors for the podcast. You heard that incredible ad read at the beginning from Little India. Local Denver businesses are mostly who we're talking to about potential sponsorships. We can do ad reads at the beginning. We can put your logo on the clips that we share. We are open to totally anything. If you want to partner with a couple of comedians just trying to pay our studio fees and get Dude IDK the money that they deserve for being an incredible studio. So if you have any interest or you might know somebody that I should reach out to, feel free to DM me about that. That would be crazy helpful. Okay, here's question number 1. So I, 31 male, have been on a few dates with this girl, 31 female. We have great chemistry. I told my friend about her, and unbeknownst to me, he decided to look up her medical information. He's a pharmacist and a piece of shit, I know. And apparently she's just started a cycle of heavy antipsychotic medications. I want to give this girl a chance, but my friend thinks I'll only be inviting chaos into my life. I feel awful for getting this private info, but what do I do now? Would it be wrong of me to take a step back because of this? Signed, Josh from Chicago.
HIPPA violation.
What? Here's what I want to say. Whatever chaos your friend thinks that you would be inviting into your life, whatever, poor judgment he thinks it would be to get with this girl, cannot possibly measure up to the amount of chaos you're inviting in your life by having a friend who is a white-collar criminal. What the fuck, dude? Yeah. That is a felony. That's a pretty bad felony.
Oh my gosh.
On the scale of felonies, I mean, Jesus Christ. And here's the thing. To give you some insight into antipsychotic medications, your pharmacist friend, I don't think, can see this person's entire medical data. So you have no idea when this person got treatment for whatever they're getting treatment for. You have no idea what exactly the medication is treatment for. You have an idea that it's probably a psychological condition within a certain realm, but you have no clear, because you might think that she just started it, but it could be just that she just started it at this pharmacy. You are not entitled to this information. And I would say that in general, the likelihood that someone who is being treated on a psychological level would invite chaos into your life is lower than the probability is lower than the probability that someone from the general population is going to invite chaos into your life. Truly. Yeah. Because someone who's being treated for it is at such a different place than someone who's one out of, I don't know the exact stats here, but randomly within your life, out of all the people who are not being treated with heavy antipsychotic medications, many of them should be or will be in the future. And when they are being treated with those heavy antipsychotic medications, will probably be better and or more functional years of their lives. So it would be insane to judge this person based on that. And it really makes it sound like you don't think that you have any ability to judge someone's behavior. Because
you can tell if someone has green or red flags during the dates, especially if you've been on a few with them and you have good chemistry.
Exactly. Sorry, I just realized when you said that I had been talking for so long.
You're good. I was just
revved the fuck up because it's you if someone's acting crazy, then then don't go on another date with them. It is like absolutely insane to think that you think that like bad behavior just sprouts out of nowhere and that you have no ability to respond to it in a normal way. But like you don't need the heads up. You don't need the crystal ball to show you. Just when someone does something unacceptable, say, "Oh, that was unacceptable." And move on. And that's when you end things. You don't end things preemptively because you think that maybe they're going to do something unacceptable. Imagine it does feel very male at the end of the day, because imagine if I was going to go around based on the statistical and like interact with men based on the statistical probability that they will harm me, which is like very high probability.
Yeah.
And if I was treating all men specifically based on that worst case scenario, they'd be like, you're insane. That's no way to live your life. And that's what I'm telling you. Respectfully, I can totally understand the concern if you don't have friends who have been on antipsychotic medications. I personally have plenty.
Same.
All of the best people in my life have been on psychiatric medication at some point or another, some of which have been heavy antipsychotic meds, some of which have been light SSRIs. Pretty much no different. One thing we all have in common is that we are all self-aware enough to seek treatment and betterness of ourselves. And that's a green flag.
That was like my first thought. Is it's like I can see why there's like a concern, but it's like it's so cool that they were able to ask for help to get treatment. For all we know, as you kind of mentioned earlier, they could be on a new cycle of antipsychotics because they want to like jump ahead and they feel like their current medication isn't working, so they're trying a new cycle. Like there's so many different nuances to psychiatric medication, and also there's probably a reason why this person didn't tell you about it earlier. I've mentioned on a first date that I was on antidepressants, and they stopped mid hookup and was like, "Oh, let's talk about that." That's not why it came out in other ways. I didn't want to talk about it. Like it's not like it's fine that it's like whatever, cool, I'm on something, great.
It's fully none of their business.
Yeah, like it's just like why would you, like, if she didn't feel the need to bring it up and if you haven't noticed anything, it's just, like, but now maybe you should end things because you're going to be a preemptive judger. And it like might be something that can come up, like maybe it won't, but like it could.
I think this person is not necessarily judgy, but is really letting their friend get in their head.
Okay, yeah, that's valid.
So I am reserving all judgment for you. Your friend is a felon. That's not a judgment.
Like, that
that's
is a
just
fact.
a crime. On a factual level, your friend is a felon. Your friend should quite possibly be medicated.
Probably, yeah.
Because they are putting their job in jeopardy for like some fun gossip. And that is a wildly unacceptable thing to do. And it departs the norm in a way that is harmful, which is the diagnostic criteria of mental disorders.
Yeah. Okay, Josh, you need to reflect on your friendships.
But so to answer your question, what do you do now? I think that you should just wait, and you should always read new partners with a level of skepticism about their behavior, whether or not you have private information about their medication history. Just like, are they treating you well? Do your values seem aligned? Do you feel safe with this person? And you should remain skeptical of that for a healthy amount of time until you feel like you really trust them. And a few months into the relationship, it will be time to have conversations about more intimate emotional histories that you guys have been through. You'll talk about your childhood. She'll talk about her childhood. It will most likely come up. If it doesn't come up, that doesn't make her a liar.
No, it just means that
because she can relay that to you on her own terms.
Yeah, it's just like it might get brought up. If there's literally nothing to bring up, then what's the point of bringing, like, it's just medicine. It's just like a medicine somebody's on.
But if you can't trust yourself to engage with whoever you date and end it when the time is right, and set up boundaries if someone is being chaotic or toxic, if you can't trust yourself to do all that, then you're not ready to date, and it has nothing to do with this person.
I agree 100%.
Alrighty.
Beautiful. Second question. I am coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the last time I had good sex. I'm an artist/comic and I want to joke about it, but I'm afraid it will hurt two people's feelings. How do you balance the need to tell your story and create in public with the need to protect your friends/partners? I'm not a good enough comic yet where I can be mean and it's also funny to the person I'm being mean to. Do I just not share that joke? That feels uncomfortable. And how do I get attention then? Triple question marks. Signed, I swear to God. Okay, I signed, she sells sex shells by the sex store. Sorry, not sorry. You should be sorry. That was hard. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. I personally, and different artists, I don't think this is necessarily a moral issue. I think when it talks about a joke hurting one specific person's feelings, if the joke is not naming them outright, I don't think that's a moral issue. I think that's more of a interpersonal kindness issue.
I agree.
So I don't think you are necessarily a like bad person, criminal either way. What I will say is that something that's important to me and a way that I live my life and the way that I live my artistic pursuits is that I don't make jokes about specific people where it could be clear where it would hurt their feelings. I have been in a long relationship with a person and we both do jokes and it's understood we both have veto power on jokes about the other person. So I try to early, either before I ever tell it or like after the first time I tell it, when I realize that I have a joke that includes my relationship, I like say like, how does this make you feel? Does this make you feel positively? Because I'm publicly saying shit about this person.
Yeah.
And I think that having good relationships and like having love and connection in one's life is more important than jokes. And I will always think that, and that's just how I choose to live my life. And I would say that you should live your life that way too.
I mean, I do think that there is a moral code with jokes. A couple of things with, I mean, I'd love to like ask questions to this person specifically, just because it's like, are these two people in comedy? Or are they just your two most recent hookups? Because I have plenty of like hookup jokes where it's like, oh yeah, I did a hookup. Cool. Like, but it doesn't say anything about who like it could be anybody. So I feel like, is it like two people that you would see all the time that would see your jokes, that would see you work through that process of it? And if they are comics that you happen to hook up with, I think you can always ask, but then there's also kind of the natural consequence of like you shat where you ate, your experience could be a joke. And as long as you're not like blatantly being rude to that person, because then that's not a joke, that's just being mean. There's a difference between a joke and bullying. If you make a joke about it, like I feel like there are worse things in the world.
Yeah. I think that 100%. If you're feeling like this undue pressure to protect everybody's feelings, even though you don't like or care about these people, that's one thing, and who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
But if these are people that you like and care about and want in your life and you don't want to hurt their feelings, don't be callous with it. And I would say there's a couple of different ways that you could make this joke and make sure it never hurts their feelings. The first way is that you could make a joke about, at the end of the day, I kind of am of the opinion that whether or not you're having good sex is nobody else's responsibility. Obviously, this is outside of the case of like crimes.
Like what we just read about.
Assault,
Yeah, this is not a
harm,
crime. Yes.
obviously. But like within the context of just like people having sex, I do believe it's like nobody else's responsibility to make you come. And so you could address the joke from the perspective of, it's been a year since I had good sex because like I don't know my body well enough. I am I am on this journey to know my body better and to have good sex. And I think that we make a lot of sex jokes that like puts it on the other person for comedic effect. And that's totally fine. But if you were going to take the other more novel approach, that would definitely prevent it from hurting other people's feelings. And then the second thing is you could just wait a while.
Yeah, time does nothing but heal.
Yeah. Well, and it would also just like obscure who the joke is about or if
Very
you're
true.
referencing these hookups. And I would say that, I have never felt in my life like if I sacrificed connection with people I cared about for my artistic pursuits, I've never felt proud of that. I've never felt like glad that I made that decision. I felt on a number of occasions that the reverse, I did feel proud of that, where I've sacrificed artistic pursuits for the people in my life.
Yeah, and if you are really comfortable with them, I don't think there's anything wrong with like asking, like, just being like, hey, I have this joke. If they're like really close with you, you can be like, I haven't had like try the joke out, because I have jokes that don't put people in my life in like the most amazing light, and I've like gone over the joke with them. And I mean, if they were like, I really hated that, then it's like, okay, like I can figure something out. My goal isn't to make the people in my life that I care about think that I think they're a horrible person, but I'm down to like embellish a little bit for the bit, or I'm down to kind of like make things a little bit bigger, and they might be like, you like maybe try it and they might love the fact that you're making a joke about them and it's funny. Some people think I love it when people make jokes about me. It's funny.
Plenty of comics are not sensitive about that shit. Me and my boyfriend ultimately are both sensitive about that shit. Like we would not like I would hate if he were to like make a joke about me being like bad in bed, unacceptable. 100%.
Yeah,
So,
and
it is kind of
yeah.
up to the person, but I definitely think there are comics I know that wouldn't give a shit about it.
It's definitely like it's different for each person, and so I think it's worth communicating that to them. But I love your idea of taking it from a different perspective. That's been like try that because you might find a new way to have an amazing joke that is so original, no one ever thinks of that, and then it'll make you a better comic on top of it.
100%. Yeah. I think that, yeah, approaching it from specifically your feelings and your perspectives will be a healthier way to write about it and a little bit more novel.
Gosh, I would, yeah, that
We've
would be
heard
fun.
plenty of jokes about how men can't make us come.
You're right.
Plus, if you write any more, they might be in my act already. So
You right.
I don't hack police anybody, so but yeah. So just to wrap it up, one thing that I really do want to hammer in, I know I've already said it, but like as someone who's like devoted a fair bit of my life to comedy, I just really cannot emphasize it much. I love comedy. Comedy is one of the great loves of my life. I've gotten so much out of it. And I do not think you will ever find a joke more fulfilling than a friendship. I do not think you will ever find a joke more fulfilling than a relationship. I don't think you'll ever find a joke more fulfilling than just a fling. A singular joke will never feel better. And a singular, try not to ever be too attached to your ability to say a singular joke because all the time you'll just like lose your ability. Like you'll write a joke and then all of a sudden someone else has that joke. Fuck, now I have to stop telling that joke. Like, you just can't be too attached to any one singular topic. Okay. Oh, yes. So that question was super interesting to me because it was like, uh the ins and outs of like whether or not jokes are ethical or not. So I looked up on Reddit and I found this story. So this is an Am I the Asshole post.
Love it.
Am I the asshole for making a dad joke? Note, my stepdaughter Madeline was about a year old when I married her mother Jessica. Madeline's father died before she was born. Madeline is currently 15 and she's rebelling for almost everything. She did something bad, so while picking her up, I set a punishment up for her. Then she said, "You're not my dad. I don't have to follow you." Honestly, I got a bit hurt from that, but I understand that she didn't mean it and that she'd probably change. I just replied, "I'm still your legal guardian for the next 3 years, and as long as you're in my house, you have to follow my rules." That happened about 2 days ago. So our family was going grocery shopping when Madeline said, "I'm hungry, I need food." I decided to be extremely cheeky and say, "Hi, hungry, I'm not your dad." My son just started to laugh uncontrollably. My daughter was just quiet with embarrassment. And my wife was berating me not to stoop down to her level. I honestly thought it was a funny dad joke, and my son agrees. So am I the asshole?
I'd have to say, yes, you're the asshole, but you're the funny asshole. There's a difference, like, is what, because, like, that is, like, objectively, that's funny. Is it the nicest thing you could tell somebody? No, obviously, but, like, objectively, it was funny. You're
Yeah,
an
this is cut
asshole.
and dry that if you were both adults, it would be 100% fair game, but you are not both adults. And there are certain jokes that you don't make to kids and that you specifically don't make to your kids. That's insane. That's like how if an adult punched me and I punched them back, that's a fight. And if a child punches me and I punch them back, that's fucked up and abuse. Don't do like that's not no. The topic isn't up for fair game because she said something. She's 15.
Yeah, the topic isn't up for game, and just because you said something extremely clever does not make it, like, the right thing to say.
Extremely clever is a bit of a stretch.
I do think it's I read that and I, like,
I think it's
giggled.
mildly clever.
Okay, you're right. It's not extremely clever. It's mildly clever. Just because you said something clever doesn't make it, like, the correct. Coming from someone who will, I have sacrificed the cleverness to, like, not save somebody's feelings before, and you do have to recognize that
It's
you.
his daughter.
Yeah. I mean, have a conversation with your daughter first of all, because for all you know, it could have been something where it's like she was just embarrassed because, like, her dad kind of was a smartass with her. Like, it could be that. Like, there have been times where and maybe it's just because I tried to be the clever one in my family all the time. When someone got me back, if I didn't have something, I would just sit there quietly embarrassed, but I wasn't like butthurt, right? But like, and I get that it's like different, but like she could be like
It,
not taking it super heavily.
it's totally possible, except for the fact that she was quiet with embarrassment. Okay. I think that you made a snarky joke that is outside of the bounds of what's okay for a dad to do, and now you have to pay the dad penance, which is that you have to go into her fucking bedroom and you have to be sappy and vulnerable. And I know it's so impossible for dads to do this, but you have to be fucking vulnerable. You have to go in there and say, I made a joke the other day. I have no idea if it affected you deeply or not, but it is my responsibility as a fucking father or someone who's trying to be a good stepdad to come in here and let you know that I love you very much and I see you as my daughter, and I hope that you'll accept that. And even if it wavers some days, my feelings of love and care for you will not, because I'm an adult and you're 15.
Yeah, like
and
you are going to have to suck it
I
up.
messed up with my words, but I hope you don't think that my emotions and relationship wavers toward you the way that yours might have, because I'm an adult and I'm supposed to be just like one thing that adults are supposed to give to children is like the feeling of stability.
Yeah, like you definitely like am I the asshole? Yes, you're the asshole. Like ultimately
100%.
you are. Just because you said something clever that got your son to laugh, it could also it's worth it to have the conversation, because there will be nothing but good that could come out of you wanting to of you caring.
And when you're 15, the random mean jokes that your dad makes will become the primary trauma driving your 20s. Like that is just the story of every girl I know. So she will not but I mean, maybe she'll brush it off, but like it's also quite possibly a core memory for her. So you have to go in, you have to be vulnerable, and you have to say the mushy gushy lovey stuff that you don't want to say.
Because even if it was like, even if she could just blow it off and it wasn't a big deal to her, it would mean so much to her. Like, just even if I was 15, like even if I didn't care about it, if I knew that my dad cared enough to, like, if I was in this situation like this, that to where he even said sorry even when it didn't hurt my feelings that much, it would still mean so much. So really there's nothing bad that would come out of being like, hey, like let's recognize this for what it is. Because what happens if she blows it off and then you can have some like little fun jibber jabs right there or something, like, obviously not to this level, but like, that you can actually maybe give some attitude, like, and that could be like a fun thing that you two bond over. Or now that there's like a really hard boundary of like, you need to like really emphasize the stability, and you really like the communication will do nothing but help you.
You'd also be modeling for her how to apologize. It sounds like she hurt your feelings a few days ago, and instead of knowing how to rectify that relationship, and instead of you providing a roadmap, it sounds like you guys just kind of like brushed all that hurt under the rug, and then you made another hurtful joke, and that cycle will lead to estrangement. I promise you. So you can model what it looks like to make a accidentally brash joke and show that your love for someone is more important than that.
And it will see, and even if she thought it was funny, she's gonna love it. Even if she was really offended by it, it's great that you're apologizing and taking ownership. Like, there will be nothing wrong with ever taking ownership of a mistake, even if it didn't seem like a big mistake. Oh, that's so easier said than done. I'm just thinking of all the mistakes I've made.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't want to have kids.
Literally, my thought is, whenever I think about having a kid, it's like, I don't want to know I'm going to put trauma on somebody at this time. Even the most there is no such thing as a perfect parent. So every parent in the world will, in some way, shape, or another, have trauma on their kid. Like, it's just the way of life. And I just don't know if that's responsibility I'm ready to accept yet.
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, yeah, I don't. Okay, so next one. Am I the asshole for making a joke when my friend told me she was pregnant? My friend Alice, fake name, 32 female, and her husband have been trying for a baby for about 3 years. I, 29 female, am child-free, but this was never caused a problem in my relationship with Alice. We would often joke about this difference, with me telling her stuff like she'll miss all the disposable income when she has kids, and her comparing my dog to a human kid. Neither of us got offended with this joking, and it was all in good fun. On Friday, Alice, a couple of other friends, and I went out to lunch, and Alice told us that she was 3 months pregnant. I jokingly said, "I'm so sorry. Let me know if you need a ride to the clinic." Alice flipped out and called me an insensitive bitch. I told her I was joking, but she wouldn't hear it and ended up leaving. She hasn't responded to my calls or texts ever since. Our other friends are staying out of it, and I don't want to give their opinions, but I understand that my comment would come off as rude if I said it to a stranger, but Alice knows me, and this is how we joke with each other. Am I the asshole? in her eyes, you 1000% are the asshole, even if it was funny. Because
I think this was in the bounds of what we all go through in our friendships, which is that you like make a joke that crosses a line and you learn. And if she's not ready to accept an apology, that's a little bit insane.
yeah, like it's one of those, it's hard because it's like, I know people who have had like fertility issues, and it's like, I try not to make a bobo abortion jokes around, I used to call them bobos. I try not to make those types of jokes around them because I know that they would kill for what I'm kind of making the joke about. So I try and like know my audience when it comes to making jokes like that. So,
Totally. I will say this is a learning experience, and what you have learned, what I know is that bitches who have trouble getting pregnant do not fuck around with that topic.
At
Holy
all.
shit. And I can't personally relate to it. But I just know that like it's something that I've never been through myself. I know intellectually that enough people who have struggled with possibly infertility or just like struggling to get pregnant, enough of those women, probably 95% of them, have extreme emotional sensitivities around that topic. That is just something you should be aware of for your life moving forward. It's never going to be safe to joke about because those bitches care about that shit, and you just have to sit back and accept it's not my thing. I know it to be true that is off limits. Understood.
it's kind of like making divorce jokes to people who are engaged. It's like, oh, like something's just a little bit
No,
different.
but engaged people aren't sensitive like that.
Oh,
like it's
the people
another
I
level.
have. No, this is definitely another level. But I've like made jokes about like divorced dudes, engaged people, and they're just like, why would you even bring that? Girl, it happens half the time. Sorry, like obviously we hope it's not you, but shit happens. It's like, okay,
I feel like my engaged friends are different than
good for you.
what I will say is that like even my friends who are cool about most jokes and who are down with an edgy sense of humor, even those, if they ever struggled to get pregnant, I would still probably assume it's probably off the table. There's something so emotionally taxing about that.
Yeah, it's probably due to like the sociological factors of like people's thinking their worth, especially women thinking their worth to being able to like procreate when that's not a thing, but because it's been said for, thousands upon thousands of years to women that you have to be able to have kids to feel like you're doing something, when, that's a really hard thing to unlearn when it's generations being told
and
that.
as a person who cannot relate to that, like for some reason, all of those societal pressures about having kids and all of those complicated emotions, they just like passed me by.
Good for you.
I don't have any of them. I don't relate to any of them. I don't get it.
I do when I'm gay. What the fuck?
Okay. Maybe my allotment went to you.
Yeah, maybe,
accidentally.
because I do feel like this weird thing where it's like, you should.
Feel pressure to have kids?
Yeah. Well, I think I want them. But
Do you know what makes me so mad, Calvin?
What?
Women talk about like, oh yeah, like I'm 27, so obviously like everyone's asking me when I'm gonna have kids. Calvin, no one's ever asked me if I plan on having kids or when I plan on having kids.
Do you want to be asked that question?
Once. I want people to think that maybe I would have kids. I don't think I would be a bad mom.
I don't think you'd be a bad mom at all. I think it's because I've seen your stand-up set enough to where I'm like, I wouldn't ask you because I know you don't fucking want that shit.
I never talk about kids in my stand-up.
But like, it's
I've
the
never
vibe,
done a joke
Hannah.
about it. But what it just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like actually my vibe is I could totally have a kid and I'd be a great mom. It just so happens that I'm not going to.
I see my vibe. I do not get that vibe. I get the vibe that I do think you'd be a good mom. Like if like, push comes to shove, with like if a pregnancy were to come upon you, like I do think you decide to keep it, I do think you'd be a good mom, but I don't think of like that. Like maybe it's because I don't feel like I've known that you've never wanted kids.
No, I think you're right that I just give off those vibes, but I just want to emphasize that it's not because of any material that I've been doing. It's not because of anything that I've been saying. I just like, I do give off vibes where like people can very much see that I'm not that type.
Interesting.
It doesn't hurt my feelings. It sometimes feels like it's supposed to, but
yeah, I was gonna say it's not like it's not like an inherently good thing or bad thing.
But yeah, I think personally that if one adult makes a hurtful joke to another adult and they say, honest to God, that was a mistake, I am 100% sorry. If you're trying to give a good apology and she just like won't have it, that somehow so crossed a line, over this topic, I think there are some topics in the world where I could see that, like, if you cross the line, you don't get the opportunity to apologize because it's just so harmful, especially if someone was like a member of a marginalized community or something, you made a joke about violence or
Yeah.
something. But this is like a joke about an abortion, and she found it so upsetting that she's unwilling to hear an apology. I think that probably she's not the friend for you.
I agree with that too. Were you the asshole for making the joke? Yes, but it's more that you just didn't know your audience rather than like, because it's so weird. It's like even if she was cool with that joke, the second you get pregnant, you now have there's like your brain chemistry is going to change. You're not going to find a joke like
Yeah.
that funny. Like like it's I've never once made an abortion joke around a pregnant person, and they were like, that was a zinger. That was it. You got me. I think that shit's funny. Like there's just something about it that so the second, and as I was reading this, I was like, she's made an abortion joke. I already know it. There's just something about the chemistry just changes. If you thought any joke you thought you could make about having kids with this friend now will have to be reconsidered. I have friends that I've made abortion jokes with. I know that I can't.
So funny because once the kid turns 4, they're going to be making abortion jokes left and right.
And you're just going to have to get really annoyed with them.
Once the kid gets super annoying, they'll be like, obviously I would never hit my kids, but like that's just how like moms are after a while.
And that's healthy because you are like the kid's annoying. If you were able to take on all of that and not get angry, what's wrong with you? Like you got to get angry at your kid. That's normal. But yeah, you're not an insensitive bitch. My goodness, that's so. And the fact that
you
she
were
hasn't
in that moment.
in the moment, yeah.
For me personally, if I were to mess up on that particular level and honestly try to apologize and someone wouldn't hear the apology, hard boundary, I'd be like, you know what? Fair. That this is an incompatible friendship.
If you can't accept the apology, then that is like, if you're willing to apologize and you recognize that in the moment you said that wrong joke and you're willing to apologize, and if they aren't willing to accept or hear it, that is where it becomes on them. If you know you did something wrong, you know you're not going to do it again. Like, you know that like even if you make a friend jokes or friends with another person and you can make jokes about it all they want, the second they get pregnant, just avoid it. Just avoid it.
Yeah.
You can make other jokes. You're probably funny in other ways. That's going to just be what it is.
100%. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Hannah Jones. You can find me at Hannah Jones Cool on any social media platform.
My name is Calvin Reed. You can find me at Calvin Reed _ REID _ on any social media platforms. Thanks
for tuning in. Goodbye.
Bye.